On the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, a Syracuse University professor and critical race theory advocate tweeted this: "We have to be more honest about what 9/11 was and what it wasn't. It was an attack on the heteropatriarchal capitalistic systems that America relies upon to wrangle other countries into passivity. It was an attack on the systems many white Americans fight to protect." Now, I'm sure a lot of the people that died in September 11th and their spouses really appreciated that hot take. And I think the question any reasonable person has to ask is, how on the earth did we get to this point? Because I don't think anyone questions that racism, including power structures based on racism, can and have existed throughout history. And if that was all critical race theory suggested, there wouldn't be any controversy. But CRT is much more than that. It's based on critical theory. These are concepts that were popularized within the Marxist Frankfurt School. And CRT proposes to not only explain how racism can influence power structures, but suggests that racism is both inevitable within society and that racist power structures explain most of the disparities we see. It achieves this by suggesting that people inevitably fall within oppressor or oppressed classes by virtue of their skin color. It then uses that charge as grounds for framing individuals within the oppressor demographic as perpetrators of hate and recommends a host of policy prescriptions in order to correct society. What are these policy prescriptions, you might ask? Well, they include policies which are anti-capitalist, oppose property rights, suggest that equality before the law is a myth, and perhaps most disturbing from an academic perspective, it prioritizes the postmodernist view of elevating the narrative over logic, reason, and classical argumentation. Now, why do I say that elevating narrative over logic is the most disturbing? Well, because when a theory proposes that all of our social, economic, and political institutions are so fundamentally flawed that they either need to be destroyed or significantly altered, one would think that some critical analysis of such a proposition is in order before we go rushing out and remaking the world. But that is the very point of elevating narrative over logic. By suggesting that logic, rational thought, linear thinking, and argumentation are merely perverse tools of racist systems, you're essentially making a claim which is now unfalsifiable. If any challenge to your theory is used as evidence of your theory's central premise, it's called begging the question. If you then take the additional step of accusing anyone of racism who questions such a premise, then are we really talking about a rigorous academic theory or an unassailable ideology which must not be questioned lest you be accused of racism and bigotry? Now, ultimately, we will have to decide what kind of society we want to live in. If we choose one in which our past, present, and future are all inextricably tied to an ideology based primarily on group identity, which will not allow itself to be questioned and which will brook no opposition, then how can we ever expect to live in peace with one another in a diverse society? And I'm not the first person to bring this up. You can learn more in our video, Why American Ideals Were Never Racist, and the story of Frederick Douglass. I'm Nick Freitas with the Y Minutes, where we challenge the popular narratives of our time. Please go to our channel and subscribe so you can get updates on new videos that we put out each Wednesday.